What's up, Ape Nation? I want to do a quick follow-up with what Lou versus Wall Street was just talking about in his last video about the emergency services and the economic downturn. Nothing that he's saying is not true. It's all real. There is a lot of things that's going on right now behind the scenes that we're not going to be privy to see what's going on. Unless you know people that are in it. Unless you have people that are high up that understand and see what's going on, that are participating in this, that are anticipating some of these things that's fixing to occur. So when Lou's talking about how, we may be seeing a downturn here pretty soon, he's right. The markets right now cannot sustain themselves. So, how we were talking about recently about how these market players have the two sets of books. The books that we get to see live on the stock market, and then the books that they have showing what the real prices are. Well, guess what? That's no different than what our U.S. government has. So when you sit there and you look at this national debt clock and you see us at what, $28-30 trillion, think to yourself, that's not the real number. Because honestly, even if you go if you go pull up the U.S. debt clock and you go and you look in the far right-hand corner, at the very bottom, you'll see where it says unfunded liabilities. We're hitting close to $222 trillion. Those are the real numbers. Those are it's there for you to see. These are unfunded liabilities that, we're going to be held onto for this. There's no way we're going to be able to pay that back. There's no way we're going to be able to fund this. That's the reason why there's people out there who are, even in politics, there are people out there that are trying to tell people, warn people about what's fixing to happen, what's coming down the pike. And this isn't something that's new. I can go back to the early 90s when Bill Clinton was in office. And I remember looking on TV and watching him signing some bill into law. And there was two people standing right behind him. And I was like, I've seen those people before. I know who those people are. I read that book that they wrote called The Cloward and Piven Strategy. And I was just like, why would he have two people at a signing of this legislation that are wanting to see the economy collapse, capitalism become obsolete? Why would anybody want that? For all you millennials up there who believe in socialism and think that it's all great, where else has it worked at? Where else? Where else has it worked at? It hasn't. There's a reason why our founding fathers created the documents to protect us from socialism. It's the reason why when after the convention and Ben Franklin walked out and then he was asked, well, what did you give us? He said a republic, if you can keep it. And we sit there and we call ourselves a democracy. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. When you say the Pledge of Allegiance and to the republic for which it stands, there's a reason why they have changed the wording over the years for this. But to get back to the economy side of things, we are fixing to hit that. Think about this with COVID. COVID wasn't just some roundabout, all of a sudden fluke thing to happen. All this has been orchestrated. And it's been orchestrated for years. China owns trillions of dollars of the U.S. debt. Japan owns our debt. And they're like, well, that nothing's ever going to happen with that. That money's, they're never going to cash in on that. They're never going to come after us because if we fail, they fail. There's a reason why China has been setting themselves up in a certain way to where they will not fail. China has been setting themselves up because they are looking to become the next superpower of the world. It's the reason why when Lou was talking about, the digital currency, the yen becoming, an online currency backed by gold. There's a reason why they are taking these steps. We've got to wake up and see the writing on the wall. Now, granted, silver lining. Because there are things in place right now. There are things going on that we're not able to see. Because if we saw it right now, most of y'all wouldn't believe it. Most of y'all would be all pissed off about stuff that's happening. But the truth has to come out. That's the reason why there are players in this game right now that are allowing these things to happen so you can see with your own eyes the truth. So when you see the truth, you will wake up. And that's the whole game right now. But there are people who are in power and in power that are going along with what's going on right now, so that you will be able to wake up and say, what the hell? That you'll realize what's been going on this entire time. Hopefully you'll wake up and you'll realize, you know what? You're an American first. I don't care who you are. Race, color, religion, creed, sexual, I don't care. You're an American regardless. What do you think they've been trying to do to us for years? The collapse or the downturn, whatever you want to call it, it's been impending for years. But what have they been trying to do in the meantime? Divide us. Because that's how they're going to be able to create this new system. But at the end of the day, who knows what's going to happen? You know, go back to the presidential election. Go back to when they were asking each person, each two candidates, Trump and Biden, what were the questions that were asked about? Who do you see as the biggest threat? Trump comes out and says China. China's the biggest threat. What did the other one say? Russia. What is Russia? There's a spider behind me. What does Russia got to do with anything? Russia saw the writing on the wall years ago with what was happening. But why would China be the one that's buying up the debt? Why would China be the one that's wanting to create new currencies? China's the one that's trying to do all this stuff. It's not Russia, it's China. Why do you think China has been literally stealing off the backs of Americans for years? They steal our patents. They create their own market system off of us for a reason. You've got people in power that are trying to do things that you cannot even fathom. But yet you'll sit there and you will literally listen blinded by some politician or some news media person trying to tell you everything's okay, everything's fine, it's going to be okay. We can't collapse. We're not going to change where we are. We're protected. There's only really and truly a few people in this world that actually want to protect us. But that's why we are fixing to see this come to light. We go back to even what the Bible says. You know, the darkness is going to come to light eventually. So all these things that we've been seeing, all these things, even in the back of your mind, there are times where you sit there and you've thought to yourself, this cannot be reality. This is the matrix that we're living in. This is not the reality. They're putting on a show for you right now. But Lou's right about that. And I'm going to tell you right now too, if you don't start preparing yourself for a major event to happen, you're delusional. Because it's fixing to happen. You know you have family, friends, maybe yourself. You got issues, health issues that you need to take care of. Start stocking up supplies. Get supplies for you to stock up on. You're going to need that medication because you're not going to be able to get the services that you're going to be able to need. Because think about this: if things start to go south, granted, Lou's right. There will be people who still go to work and still try to help people because that's in their nature to be helpful. That's who they are. They wouldn't have gone into this field otherwise. But it's going to be a limit, and you're going to have limits on everything. So you're going to have limited supply of certain things. You know, you go back to look at these, what they call the doomsday preppers. You know, why did they start creating all these food storage companies? Why did they start creating all this stuff where you could stock up on food that's going to last 10 to 15 years? Why? If there was nothing to be worried about. But I would say this. You're going to need to put some cash on hand for sure. Have a contingency plan. There's nothing wrong with it. When you were in school, did they not have some kind of evacuation plan in case there was something going on? In case there was some kind of tragic event that was supposed to happen, or a tornado event that may have come through? Did they not have something in place for say, hey, look, just in the event this happens, we need to have a plan in place? Most of your employers that you go to work at have some kind of an evacuation plan, or a plan if there's something bad happens. I hate to say those words, but in case there's something that does happen, there's a plan in place for you to go by. Hell, one of my last employers that I had, we had siren buttons that contacted the police if there was something that happens within our facility. But then again, what happens when this thing goes? There ain't no cops. And look at this another thing too. Lou's right about one thing to us also. When he talks about the emergency services and them services not being there, police, fire, ambulance, all that stuff, and those aren't going to be readily accessible. Look at what's been going on around the country right now. Look at the droves of police officers that are quitting their jobs because they got targets on their back. So when you sit there and you need the police because somebody's breaking into your house or doing this or whatever the case may be, then ain't nobody going to be there to come save you. That's the reason why we keep trying to tell people it's time for you to raise up and protect yourself. Other people can't sit there and protect you all the time. You have to take a stand for yourself, because what happens? There has been news articles all across the world, things that you can't see because certain people are blocking you from seeing those media outlets, whether it's news, paper, whatever. They're blocking you from seeing that. That's why you can't see what's really going on in Australia, what's really happening in Venezuela, what's really going on in the EU right now, what's going on in China. They're not wanting you to see what's happening, the uprisings and the revolts that's going on in their own countries. They don't want you to see that. You got to start asking yourself these questions. Why? There's a reason why they're doing this. But again, there are people in place that are waiting. They're waiting in the shadows right now, because when that darkness comes to light and you're able to see the truth that has been hidden from you, just like the movie The Matrix. Imagine if you had that opportunity to take that pill and you woke up and you realized everything that you thought you knew was wrong. When you do wake up and you do start to see this change, you will understand what everybody's been saying. And I pray at that point in time you will wake up and you'll be like, I can't believe I was so blinded by this. I can't believe I did not listen to other people. There's a whole old saying about conspiracy theories. For it to be a conspiracy theory, there has to be levels of truth behind it. And there have been people who have been pointing this out for years. It's funny how for years, people denied about other life, extraterrestrials, UFOs, aliens. And then all of a sudden what happens? Big massive dump of, we've had documents of this happen. But it was a conspiracy for the longest. Then we go back to certain wars. We look at like the Korean War, the Vietnam War. Those were fabricated stuff that they made those things happen. Guess what? That's proof. Fact check me. We did that. We lied about certain events happening so we could go to war with other people. That's reality. That's the world we live in. It's literally the Matrix, but we're so believable about what everybody else wants to say is, no, this is not it. Believe this. Don't believe that. Give me a break. But no, prepare for yourselves though. Take care of you. Take care of your families. Just have a plan. What would it hurt for you to have a plan? Seriously. Because there are going to be events that are going to happen that we have to take care of ourselves for. Get in your community. Become involved in your community. Know your neighbor. Have something set up to where you can protect yourselves just in case. Because I'm from Louisiana. All right? I'm going to tell you right now. 2016 was the we call it the Great Flood here. Man, our neighbors came together. It did not matter who you were, what color of the skin you had, what religion you were. Did not matter. We came together as one. So for us here in Louisiana, I have full faith that we're going to be able to take care of each other when shit hits the fan. We went through 4 hurricanes last year. And then to top it off at the very end of the year, ice storm. Guess what we all did the entire time? We stood together. We was out there helping our neighbors clean up the debris, helping our neighbors get back on their feet, bringing supplies and stuff like that. That's what we were about. You need to be able to do the same. Take care of yourself, take care of your families. Lou is only out there to try to help people and give them extra knowledge. I love his story times, really do. I can't wait to hear his stories when he talks about different stuff. When it comes to the AMC, the stocks and stuff like that, we appreciate that as well. We know it's there. We know what's happened. Second books. Again, same with the federal government. They got 2 books. What number you seeing right now is not the real number that we're in debt. So you got to be able to kind of see the writing on the wall. It's time to kind of wake up a little bit, because in reality, this stuff could really hit hard. And granted, we all kind of have that whole idea of, with the whole meme stock thing, and when we start seeing it hit into the thousands, yeah. But when it does, and when you're able to cash out and you've got those extra funds, set yourself up, protect yourself, because the economy is going to go down at some point in time. I mean, Lou was key on point when he talked about China and the yen and them getting their digital currency backed by gold. And if you don't believe me, look at what Texas is doing. Texas requested $1 billion in gold from the Federal Reserve. And they are putting it into legislation that the federal government cannot have any access to that. They're trying to protect them, because Texas apparently sees what the hell is going on. So why would they need $1 billion in gold? $1 billion. That's all I'm saying, guys. Sometimes we have to be diligent. We got to be able to look out for ourselves, protect ourselves. I do believe that Lou's got a family. This whole community right here. This is all to all of us. This is a family. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to go to New York and go meet with him, or he come down here, whichever one. Mardi Gras, what? But if we can't be there for each other, if we can't put forth information so that you can have a leg up, so you can be prepared, then what are we here for? Stop believing what you see on the news. Stop believing what you hear, because all that's it's just a bunch of shit, basically. That's all it is. You can't believe none of that. Hopefully here in the next few months, that darkness will come to light. And it's going to wake up a lot of people. I'm a little scared about it, because I don't know how people are going to react. But at the end of the day, it has to happen. So I figured I'm going to start doing this too. So coming up pretty soon, as Lou kind of gets more in depth on different things, I'm going to do follow-ups. I'm going to do follow-ups to Lou's stuff. Again, Cajun boy, what you want to call him? Louisiana strong. This is what we're going to do. And like I said, I'll follow up on different things. Some things that maybe Lou will talk about, I may just kind of research some stuff as well, because a lot of the things that Lou says, I know a lot about. He ain't that much older than me. 7 gray hairs. So, with that being said, stay tuned. More to come. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. That way you can kind of get alerted whenever we do this. Because like I said, a lot of y'all, and I know how I am too, when Lou comes on, I'm like, man, it's been a minute. Where's Lou at? Lou ain't posted nothing here recently. I'm going to follow up with him. I'm going to follow up with y'all so that we can kind of have this content going. Love y'all. Thank y'all. Hopefully we'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.